Alrighty guys, this is Snugsonblitz, and today we're up to part 9 in my series of how to stop being a noob. If you're new here, welcome, glad to have you along for the ride, and I recommend you do check out the other parts in this series, but essentially, newer players, or as we refer to them, noobs, are making mistakes that are costing them battles because essentially you're painting a big bullseye over your tank, and pros will see that and go, look at this guy, we can rip him apart. I mean, he's supposed to be hull down, but he's not great. This tank should be sniping in the back, but he's not great. You don't want to be doing that most of the time until you know what you're doing. So hopefully the series is giving you some tips on what not to do and to prevent making yourself a target. Today we're looking at something that's a little trickier, and that is ammo choice. I have one game for you. It's not the best, but I think the game is fun, and I really wanted to share it with you. And I thought, yeah, why don't I include it in this series? AP is your bread and butter. Most of the time, you're going to fire that and do decently well. When you're fighting higher tier tanks, especially heavy tanks, and you're in a medium or something, you're going to need that little bit of extra oomph. So you want to be using Pramo, gold shells. But if a tank, such as an American tank or a French tank, comes out with their rear to you, that's time to load HE, because HE can do a lot of damage, but only with weak parts of your tank. So if you hit the tracks, for example, that doesn't do a great job. You want to be hitting their engine decks and things like that. There is also one more use for HE, and that is to reset the cap. Even if you hit a tank and do only 2 damage with HE, it will reset the cap. Now, if you use AP or Pramo, you may bounce, and that will not reset the cap. You've got to be able to pen them. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Anyway, hope that makes sense. If not, I do apologize. I'm just a little bit tired. Anyway, let's get to today's game, shall we? Okay, they have not the best team, and we have a very nice lineup. We have a Smasher and Annihilator. Wow, 2 awesome tier 7 tanks, a T-49 to do spotting for us, and a Caliban with that awesome derp gun as well. They have a Charlemagne though, and that's going to be a problem, as well as a T-34. So they've got more armor. We've got better firepower, if you ask me. The Smasher also is a pretty solid player. I think he's a 56 or 62% player, I forget, but he's experienced. I've run into him before. So we should be fine. Everyone's moving on to this side of the map. Great. Let's see. I'm going to pre-aim this bush because a lot of people like to use this for spotting. There's one tank over there. Okay, now our team is just lined up against this red line at the back here. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You can't spot anything from there. The T-49 or the E-Rack, one of those tanks has to move on up. Are they doing that? No. I'm like, this is stupid. So I have no faith in my team right now. Look at this. This is horrible. And the tank that I did not really want to push on out is. That means we're in a little bit of a pickle, I think, here. However, not all is lost. He doesn't know what he's doing. If you get some support, it should be fine. Okay, and look what we have here. Mr. Dragons come all the way around, or the Type 62 if you want to be precise. Now I've loaded my Hesh here because oh dang it, he went behind the rock. Well, that sucked. If I managed to connect with that shell on his lightly armored tank, that's probably 450 damage, my guess would be. And we take out one tank. So that's good news. Now we're seeing where they're all lined up. I'm going to see if I can get a nice shot in here. Can I? Again, where's our T-49 for our spotting? Nowhere near us. Can I hit this guy? Oh, for goodness sake. That didn't go according to plan. I didn't damage his module. That's good news. But yeah, so I'll do it when this guy's coming around. Luckily, he's not going to face me. I've got Hesh loaded, but as you can see, it's not going to be an easy pen, so I'm just going to go straight to AP. And boom, boom, there we go. So, a solid amount of damage. And hopefully, I don't get ripped apart. Oh, he wants me, he wants to get me. He shoots, I don't know where he shoots. But I think, oh, that's not what I wanted. It was the T-49 friggin' came up behind me. and absolutely shellacking me. But I managed to take out his buddy, and I'm gonna try and keep this guy lit up so our team can go to work on him. I say that, but yeah, no one's coming to really help. I mean, the Caliban could rip him apart in seconds, but does he do it? No, he just stops. And I'm like, okay, I have no faith in the Caliban. Can I hit this guy? AP time, AP. Just guarantee the pen. And luckily I'm able to get back without taking any hits. It's 5v5. But our medium tanks just are refusing to do any spotting. Our Caliban, with his awesome gun, who could have whacked the T-49, has let him run away, and okay, this is not great. I'm not sure we're going to win this. This guy's asking for help, and I think he's our best chance at surviving, so I'm going to try and keep him alive. I don't mind taking one hit if I have to, because he's important for this game plan. Poof. I mean, that was nice. We got rid of the T-34, who had quite a lot of hit points there. That T-49 is there. And this guy's a one-shot over here. Can the Caliban maybe go in there and whack Mr. T-49? I mean, his gun does, what, 900 damage? It's an easy shell. Just, the T-49 has no armor. Go for it, buddy. Okay, but there's the Charlemagne. I think it is. The T-49 is not coming out, so I can't take a hit. The T-49 will rip right through me. The Charlemagne will also rip right through me. So I just got to stay hidden. Mr. Caliban, you have got the most hit points on the battlefield. If you don't try using them to help us, we're probably going to lose. Okay, somebody hits him for 400. That's nice. Don't think it was the Caliban, because that would probably absolutely wreck him. So it's probably one of our tanks over here. Now, here comes Mr. Carnival, and that's a problem, because he's got hit points, he's got a devastating gun, DPM-wise, and he's got solid armor as well. Finally, we've taken out the tank over there. That's good news. Come on, Caliban. I don't want to do this, but give me something to shoot at. Okay, there we have it. Okay, now hopefully, oh goodness me, they took out that guy. I'm gonna work on this guy. And as you can see, I thought I had AP loaded, and instead I was loading Hesh, not the shot I really wanted frontally, dealing with a heavy tank. So I've had some good choices and some bad choices here. I really didn't notice Hesh was loaded, but this time I'm going out to do AP, but I say, hey, you know what, Hesh time, and boom, I got vaporized. And somehow we're able to pull out the victory. I really thought that was a loss. Like, Caliban refused to go after the T-49. I'm like, gimme, gimme, gimme. 2,890, solid gameplay. But with a tank that has Hesh, which a lot of British tanks do have, you've got to consider when you want to use the Hesh and when not to use the Hesh. Just remember, if you're not sure what to use, generally speaking, just stick with AP. And if you come across a higher tier tank and you're not playing a heavy tank, then switch to Pramo, gold shells. That's just the basic rule. And HE, just keep it for tank, the cap reset. If you're really not sure how to use HE. Hesh is, a little bit more confusing, but just stick with that basic rule. AP for most things, especially if you're higher tier, you should be fine. But when you're lower tier, you might want to use a little bit more primal. And little tip here, I can tell you this from talking to some pros. Many pros like to shoot the first 3 to 4 shells with gold shells. Why is that? Because it guarantees the pen and it pushes the enemy tanks back. They might think, hey, I'm invincible in my IS-4, I'm just going to push on out against this lowly tier 9 tank, and suddenly he's like penned once, penned twice, and he's like, what the hell? That tank shouldn't be able to pen me normally. But because they're using gold shells and maybe calibrated, they're making mincemeat of you. So just got to be aware of that. That's how you can often tell it's a pro player, because they understand what shells to use on what tanks. Bad players will basically use AP and that's it. they're just too cheap to use gold shells. And I'm telling you, if you want to improve in this game, you've got to use gold shells sometimes. You have no choice. The enemy is too strong, and sometimes even with Pramo, you'll struggle to pen them. So it really depends on the situation, what tanks you're facing, and what tanks you're using. So it's a little bit vague, I get that, I apologize, but that's the truth of the matter. So anyway, stick to the basic rule, you should be fine. Hope that helped. I'll see you tomorrow. Snugsonblitz.